As web designers using WordPress, I think it's always good to take a look at what alternatives are available, because part of our job when we're working with clients is to find the best solution for them, and WordPress isn't always that best solution. So with that in mind, let's take a look at today's alternative to WordPress, even though there is a kind of link between this and WordPress. What am I talking about? We're talking about Brizy Cloud today. Now, Brizy is a page builder for WordPress, but the cloud version doesn't rely upon WordPress. So if you've ever used Brizy as a WordPress plugin, and there's a free version available, then you're going to be familiar with the way that it operates. But one of the things I like about this is the cloud platform has a couple of really useful features, and that's what I want to kind of talk about today. And I have actually created a full course for Brizy, which I did a couple of years back for the Brizy Cloud platform. I'll link down in the description if you want to take a look before you decide to maybe hop in and try this out. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's take a look. Now, if you want to save yourself some cash, Brizy Cloud is available at this point in time on AppSumo with a lifetime deal. And you can take a look at the options. I'll link this in the description down below. This may be gone when you're watching it in the future, though. So I grabbed myself a couple of licenses because I think it's useful to have this in the back pocket. And again, like I say, there's one key reason why I think this is so useful for smaller or simpler projects. Now, once you've purchased your licenses for Brizy, or you've set yourself up with a free account, you'll access the dashboard, which will show you all of your projects and where you can create your new projects as well. So you can see I've got a pro project and I've got a free project. You'll also notice across the top, we've got three different kinds of projects. You've got websites, pop-ups, and stories. Now, websites, pretty self-explanatory. Pop-ups, as its name would suggest, I'm not going to worry about stories. I don't think it's particularly relevant in what we're talking about today. But let's take a quick look. If you've got a free project, you can do a lot of things here, but there's certain limitations on how you can actually host the site and so on. So we're going to focus in this example on one of the pro options. So if we go in and edit the project, you'll get the Brizy editor. Now, the Brizy editor, if you've ever used this, it's a very simple, lightweight setup. It does have some nice features. It's not as powerful as using kind of core WordPress, but you do have certain features available that are similar to what you can do in WordPress. For example, you can create all your pages and your posts and create menu structures and so on. But you can also create things like custom post types and have custom fields. You can create membership options. There's a lot of things to like about what you can do with this. But like I say, because we're not relying upon WordPress, it's on the cloud platform, we get a lot of the benefits, but there's some changes and differences to working with WordPress and how you would work with it. But the editor is basically a really simple, clean inline editor. For example, if we want to make a change to this heading, we can click on it and we get this little floating menu that gives us a range of different options. So you've got your typography options, you've got your alignment options, your spacing options, links, those kinds of things. You can click, for example, and you see we get a pop-up then with the relevant information. So we can change our HTML tag in this example. We can choose our styling options, and then we've got options down the right-hand side for your basic styling, for your margin, your padding, those kinds of things. You've also got then, if you go into advanced, you can control your Z index or Z index, depending on where you're coming from. You've got CSS IDs and so on, custom attributes. You've also got transform options, so you can get a little bit creative with how things look. So you may want to have things, for example, like a skew. Well, you can create different effects and things on there. So pretty cool, pretty simple to work with. You've also then got section options. So we click on this, you can see this opens up different options. So we come in, for example, here, you can see we can set this up to work with global templates, so you can share this across your entire design. You've got your membership options, there's multilingual options available, you can convert this into a slider. A lot of things inside Brizy are incredibly simple to do. You don't need to create complex things. You want to turn this into a slider, click the slider button, turn it into a slider, job done. It's now a slider. Add more slides in there, you get the idea. You want to open up the options, you can see we can choose things from full width, box, to height, effects, styling, and so on. Want to add links in, you can add links so you can link to a page, to a specific URL. You've got database options here, so you can tie this into dynamic data. And like I said, this is all on the cloud platform. When I set this up as a block, you can see we can edit the blocks and see the order of these blocks, so we can move things around nice and easily. Your pop-up option. And the block is very similar to what I showed in the 6.7 version of WordPress recently, where they've got the sort of zoomed out view that you can edit things and move things around and stuff like that. It's quite nice, it's quite useful. So there's a lot of options here for how you can set things up and control things and design things. If we go to the left-hand side and click this first option, this is going to give us even more control over everything. So this is where we can see all of our pages, our pop-ups, our posts, our stories, and so on. You can create custom assets, your media libraries available here. You can create and edit your custom menu structure if you want to. So we can create our new menu if we want to. We'll add this new menu in. choose our menu, choose the options from the left-hand side, add them into our custom menu, and reorder them in the same way you can kind of do with WordPress. So it's very similar. It's a very similar kind of setup. You can see we can indent. You can open up the options for the settings, set as your home page, open a new tab. You kind of get the idea. So even if you are moving over from a platform like WordPress, it isn't going to take you long to kind of get familiar with how this works because there's a lot of similarities between the different platforms. Once you're happy, hit Save Changes. We've now created a new menu structure. Go back out of this, close this down, come to your menu options, choose the menu you want, My Menu, hit Save Changes. And there's our custom menu added into our header section. Now, when you want to add new features in or new elements in, simply go to the plus, and there's all of the different elements we can choose from. You've got your columns, your rows, all those kinds of good things. So all very simple and straightforward. If you're working with custom posts and so on, you can add those in, titles, assets. There's lots of different options inside here to add various different things into your overall design. Speaking of your design, if you come over, you can see this kind of gives us the overview of everything. If you want to change things around, we can simply drag these around to change the order, and then they update in real time. So for example, if we drag this one up underneath, you'll see that now changes. It's really quite simple and a nice, elegant way of being able to move the design around. Again, like I say, this is one of those things that if you've ever used Brizy in the past, and it doesn't get a lot of credit because a lot of people kind of overlook it, there's a lot of things to actually like about the way that it all operates. But we can go into a lot more detail about all the things you have inside here. You've got your global styling, you've got various different current styles you can choose from. If you want to change the entire look, you can do that with a very simple choice by just choosing from here. And also you can create and customize all these different global styles. There's a lot of options here. So once you finish, we'll hit update. And let's just say we've now finished designing our page, our site, whatever it is we're kind of working on. We now want to make this a website. Well, let's back out of this and go back to our dashboard. And let's take a look now. So this is our project. Currently, this is just using a standard sort of temporary domain, but you can set this up in various different ways. So when we're ready, we can click the three dots and we have the option to publish this. So let's click on publish. And now with the Pro version, you have 4 different options. You can set up a custom domain, which is probably the easiest thing to do, or you can create a subdomain. And then these are hosted on the Brizy Cloud server. So they're all stored on the servers. However, you don't have to do that. There are a couple of other options here. You can use third-party hosting, provided by GitHub, for example. You can set up your server sync, which this allows you to kind of keep your design on Brizy Cloud itself, but you can connect this up to a separate domain and you can kind of synchronize the content back and forth between the two, which is kind of interesting. But the one I like, and the one I've used myself several times when I've created landing pages, is this option. Export HTML files for your project. And you can download it. So what this will do is this will take whatever you've created and kind of create a static version of it, zip it all up with all the assets, the JavaScript, the CSS, all your HTML files and so on, and allow you to host this wherever you want. So you don't need to have PHP hosting. You can simply use the standard HTML files. So if we click on download now, this will take a few moments then, depending upon the size of the site, to prepare all of that, zip it up ready for you, and then download a copy to your actual machine, which we can then use any kind of FTP software or upload it in whatever method you want, unzip it, and all the files you need are there. You don't need a database or anything else. It's pretty nifty. And I say, if you've got simpler projects you're working on, you want to work with a client, you want to create a landing page, a simple site that doesn't need to be updated, one of the key benefits of working with this or sticking with the Brizy Cloud platform is the fact that you don't have to handle those regular updates. So you get all the benefits of using a WordPress-esque page builder. You can create great looking simple designs or as complex as you want, tie that into the CMS functionality, create custom posts and so on. And then you can just host it or you can dump it out as HTML and then use that wherever you want to without having to deal with those updates. I think that's pretty nifty. And there we go. After about a minute with the site that we've got, you can see this tells us what to do now. Download it, which is already done for us. Use a file manager or FTP to upload this to your cPanel or wherever you want to put it. And then you can simply browse. So if we take a look at the zip file, you'll see inside there, we've got all the relevant pages converted to HTML. So like I say, we don't need to worry about anything to do with PHP or anything like that. So you can put it on super cheap hosted if you want to. Your CSS, your JavaScript files, everything is stored inside there. Or your images, any SVG images and so on, everything is there, so you can now upload that and activate it, and your site should be up and running pretty quickly. But like I say, it's static, so it's going to be quick. You don't have to worry then about any of those updates or anything else to go on with it. So I think this is a pretty useful little option. So let's round things up. Do I think that Brizy Cloud could replace WordPress? In some instances, yes, it could. But for the broader scope of what you can do with WordPress, then obviously no, it's not going to come close to it. But you don't need all that functionality for every single project. So if you want to have a non-WordPress cloud platform that still has a very WordPress kind of workflow and working with page builders that you may already be familiar with, Brizy Cloud could be a great option. The thing I really like and what shines for me is the ability to use the Brizy Cloud to design things in a nice visual fashion. Use this kind of CMS set if you want to as part of it, create your custom posts and custom data and those kinds of things. But then we can just output that as static HTML and have all the benefits of that where we don't have to worry about updates and maintenance. Speed is less of an issue because it's not sat on top of WordPress. There's a lot of things to like about it. But it isn't going to be perfect for every project or every job, but in those instances where it is, I think it's a solid, viable option and one worth checking out. And the fact you can grab a lifetime deal at the moment from AppSumo for, I think, up to something like 50 different sites, it's worth taking a look at. Even if you go for the lowest plan, it's like $59, lifetime access, you can do 5 sites on it, and if you take advantage of the way of working with a static HTML, I think you could just easily create a simple landing page business or working with simpler sites with clients that don't need all those bells and whistles. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Have you tested Brizy or Brizy Cloud? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think this is a viable option for those smaller, simpler sites that don't require WordPress? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, all applicable links are in the description. My name's Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.